everyone. Welcome to Power Hour. I'm Laura Rogers, and this is our weekly show that we do. I have Joelle here actually on video. Say hi.
Hello.
Yay! So we got some new software. It's called vMix, and it is much smoother and easier for us to be able to both be on camera at the same time. And so we're very excited. It's really complicated software. It's much more complicated than what we were using before, but it's going to be a lot of fun. So welcome to Power Hour. This is a show for people who it's not too technical. It's really geared towards business users, power users in Office 365, SharePoint, Power Apps, all those fun technologies. And we're going to talk about tabs today. Joelle, you've used these tabs a couple of times in some Power Apps we've been doing for customers, haven't you?
Yeah, it's actually a pretty ingenious solution. I like it a lot.
So we did a Power Hour about tabs probably a year or two ago about how to just do tabs in a Power App, which is pretty simple and involves passing a variable to hide and show cards on a form. But this Power Hour is going to be about how to create that as a reusable component so it's more portable and you can take it and use it in multiple apps, and it uses a gallery, so it's just much more portable than having to manually create a bunch of tabs in every single different form and manually do all that functionality. So I'll go ahead and let's see, share my screen. And first, I'll show you just kind of this concept. All right, so the concept is that I have this component that I'm creating, and this component is going to look however you want it to look. It's basically just a gallery with a button in it. And we insert the component somewhere in our app, and then we're able to tab between things, and then we'll be able to put a form in our app and use that information from the component to be able to show and hide different things on the form. So let's get started. I'm going to build this from scratch so that you can see how that part's done instead of just kind of clicking around in one that I already created. So I have this app. Let's see. Is the echo too bad? Can y'all hear the echo? I think my webcam audio keeps flipping itself back on, and for some reason, so I just turned it off yet again. It's supposed to be using this other microphone that I have. Is that okay? Does it seem better, Joelle? Can you hear me okay? I can't hear you anymore.
Yeah.
There, now's your audio. Okay.
Yeah, I was telling you you had the echo. I think every time you switch to something,
Yes,
it does that. So just be aware.
that must
Yes.
be it. So every time I'm switching from different screens to screens, it just turns
Yeah.
the audio on my webcam
Turns
back
that
on.
on. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so I'll turn yours back off. Okay, hopefully that's better. Okay, so I've got this is just a demo app that I use with a bunch of different Power Apps that I do. But what I'm going to do is create a brand new, I was kind of playing around with this before I got started to go through all the steps, but I'm going to create a brand new component and build the whole thing and show you kind of what's involved here. So I'm going to go to my Power App and go to Components and go New Component. And I can go kind of fast, but you'll be able to just rewind this later and, kind of pause it and things to be able to build the whole thing. So I'm going to go and I'm going to make this wider and shorter, just the whole thing, and then insert a gallery. And my tabs are going to be horizontal, but you could do vertical tabs if you want. So this is going to be a horizontal gallery, and I'll just make it be the whole width of that component, and then insert a button in the gallery. And I'll just kind of push the button over here like this and narrow the gallery down. And then my button, to make it look like a tab, we had those little settings in here called, where are they? The radius. So I'll put my radius, my top left and my top right to 20, which makes them look a little rounded like that. So then for my component, I need to be able to input a list of things, like the things that are going to be the words on the tabs. And then what I'm going to send out of the component is when someone clicks on it. So to have that sort of interaction, the component needs to know what is going to be input into it, because it's kind of its own little contained thing, right? So I'll go to my, I'll rename my component CMP tab demo. And then I give it a custom property. And this first custom property is going to be my input table. And this is going to be a collection that I'll send to it. List of words for the tabs. And you all feel free to chat in the chat room that we have going on in Slack, and we started doing this in Teams too. And you know, that's the fun part about Power Hour, is it's very interactive. So let's get some chat going. We're just now getting everybody over into Teams. So this is kind of a gradual thing. We just started doing this week, but I know everybody's already over in Slack. So we're kind of gradually moving away from Slack over to Teams, just to kind of make sure we can get everybody over there. So we'll be chatting over there. So hopefully the echo's gone. Okay, cool. I see all the chats about the echo now. Okay, so my input table is going to be a table. And then I have another one that's going to be my output of whatever tab I click on. I'll just call this tab clicked. And output of some text is just going to be the word of whatever I click on. And then I have my button. My button is going to need to say the word of whatever the tab is. But for the button tab text, I'm going to do, let's go look at what it's got here. For the items property, for my gallery, what items am I showing? I'm going to show the name of my component, dot, and then the name of that input table. So whatever data I input to it, that's what's going to show, is the list of things that I can click on. And then let's go look at the values over here. So then it says items and the name of the component input table. And then it gives me, when I create this input table, just sort of part of the component, it's going to give this little sort of fake set of information here, sample string field, blah, blah, blah. So I need to change that to have something that's more structured, to be like the table that I'm going to be sending it. Now I can't send the actual collection of what I'm going to have over in my PowerApp. I can't send that directly into the component, but I can mock up a little table that's got a couple of items in it to at least be able to kind of see what I'm doing in here. So then I can go to the button, and I'm not going to have an on select, but I'm going to have some text, and the text is going to be this item dot tab title. So now you can see I've got that data that says 1, 2, and now my tabs actually say 1, 2. All right, so then another little bonus thing that I can do is I can have the tooltip be the same thing. The tooltip's what it does when people hover over it, so that I can make it say the name of it as well. And then for the tab, when someone clicks on the tab, I want it to be lit up in a different color. So the fill color for the tab, so I'll go to my button and I'll just rename it BTN tab demo. And I'll rename my gallery gal tabs. All right, and then to do the color, and this is not something that's specific to a component, but it's something you could do within any gallery. So I'm going to say if this item, whatever item it is selected, and I want it to show purple, otherwise show gray. So you can see that that item's selected by default, the first item, and it's purple. All right. Makes sense so far? Okay, so it is a little complicated and time consuming, but once you have it created and you can reuse it, then it'll be worth it. Okay, then another thing I need to do is decide what all the things are going to be, what all the different words in my tabs are going to be. So I go to the on start of my app. So I switched away from components back to screens, and I go to the on start of my app, and I've got my clear. So this is for something that I was doing with navigation, so that's unrelated. But this thing down here, this is where I'm collecting what I want the tabs to be. So again, it's very, very simple. It's just I'm just calling this collection project tabs. So I can have, when I'm doing these tabs, I can have multiple places in my app potentially that have different forms with different sets of tabs. So you might want to have different collections, maybe with different names of tabs for different forms if you have a big complicated app with lots of different forms. So I'm doing a clear collect, and I'm calling this collect COL project tab. So this is going to be for my project form. And then it's just 3 records, and it's very simple. It's just the name of the tab, or tab title, and then just whatever it needs to say. So that's my collection. So when you write this clear collect in your onStart, be sure and just run the onStart. So then you'll have your collection here. So again, main details comments. It's just, and you all kind of think, you might want to put in the chat window some ideas for maybe what the words on your tabs might say in your project that you might want to go try this on. All right, so I created the clear collect. So then I need to insert this tab somewhere. So I'm going to just create a completely new screen, and I'll call it SCR demo tabs. And then just starting from scratch, so you can see all the pieces here. I'm just going to insert a form. My form is going to be my project list. And then it's going to have a lot of extraneous stuff. I'm just going to delete some of these fields. Let's see. Down, there. Okay, and then I just kind of reshape my form to fill up however much I want it to fill up. And I might have some navigation at the top of my app on the left, so leave some space for that. But just in general, here's my form, and just for testing, so it'll be quicker, I'll just put a default mode of new, so that just every time I preview this, it's just going to show me a new form. Okay, so then I'll be adding the tabs here. So then I go to insert, and this is where I have this new component I just created. And by default, it's just going to say whatever data I built into the component, but I need to go to, see, now I've got component tab power hour demo _1. And I need to go to the input table, and this needs to end up being my collection of my project tabs. Look at that. So I can make my form look a little nicer. I can give it like maybe a border color. Make it purple so that looks a little bit better. It's a different shade of purple, but I can make my border there purple. So there, now it's the same shade as the tab. And now I need to make it so that it goes to the right thing when I click on it. Does it light up when I click on it? Yes. So look at that. Looks like my hover is a different shade of purple, so I could do that. I could change my hover color in the go back into the component and change that if I care about that. But so you can see that it's clicking on different things. It's selecting them as I click on them. But now I need to make it so that whatever I click on, it's building the logic. It's showing the right logic in the component. Okay, so I need to go decide what I want to show and hide here. And I'll go, let's say I'll say project description. Let me get rid of this one. Project summary and description, I'll just make those so they only show on the comments tab. So basically what you have to do, and this is the logic that we talked about this last time we taught this, was that every single card has a visible property, and you're just saying when do you want this card to be visible. So like project name, I only want it to be visible when the main tab is selected, and project start and end only are visible in the main tab. But then I decide some other fields maybe that I want them to show when the details tab is selected. So like I'll go to hours used and I'll go to the visible property. And this is where I need to tell it, I need to get that information from the component. So component tab power hour demo _1 dot tab clicked equals, and that's going to be details. So customer lookup, oops. So the one I just did was, which one did I just do? Hold on. Let me try another one. I'm going to try project name first. Visible if, I've got too many windows open here. And that is my CMP tab project hour demo, power hour demo 1. Let me show you the text here so I can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to insert this label just up here so I can visually see the names of things as I'm selecting them. CMP project dot tab clicked. So I can make sure, so it's not, okay, so that's a missing piece that I didn't do yet. So it just says text. So what I want it to do is each time I click on something, I want that output to actually output the thing that I'm selecting. So let's see, let me go back to my component. I had a feeling there was one more little piece I was missing. So items and then on select. It's going to be the name of the gallery dot selected is going to be the thing that I'm passing. Oh yeah, that's what I missed. Okay, so go to my component here. And it's this thing, this tab clicked. So I took care of the table being in the input table, in the right structure. But here I need to do the name of my gallery, gal tabs dot selected dot, and then tab title. So, and that's a good troubleshooting step. So go to the screen and then see, I'm visually putting a little label on here that shows me what's being output from the dot tab clicked. So the input is just the table and the output from the component is just whatever word I'm clicking on. So now I can see things appearing and disappearing as I'm clicking the tabs. So we can just do more of those. So like project manager, I only want that to show when details is clicked. Let me go back to details. So this one, I can just copy that logic. Which one did I do that? Oh, yeah, details. So once I have this logic written, I can just go into the visible property of just some different ones and just paste. So that needs to be details. Hourly rate needs to show when it's details. Hours planned. So this part's kind of tedious where you go around and decide what needs to show when. But then like project description, I want it to show when I'm on the comments tab. And then maybe the summary. Any questions, Joelle? There. Can you talk now?
Yeah, it looks like
Is
there was.
anybody asking any questions?
Yeah, there was a question. Can the display of the tabs be customized based on the user? For example, all users would see tabs 1 and 2. Users in a group named employees would see tabs 3 through 5, and the users in a group called customers would see tabs 6 through 7. By Robin
Um,
asked.
there is a way to do that. To do that with a tab component, though, that would be probably much more complicated because then you'd have to take the information about who the logged in user is and you'd have to pass that information to. No, another way you could do it. Okay, this is what I do for that concept. You could do that on start. So when you're doing your collection right here of what the tabs are, you can just simply have all the tabs that you want everybody to see be the ones that it first collects. And then after this, you can do the logic where you're looking at who the logged in user is. And only if they're a certain person or in a certain group, then do another, not another clear collect, but another collect. So like if this person is an approver, then collect and then add this tab or that tab. And then if this person is in this Office 365 group, add this tab. So 2 weeks ago on the last Power Hour we talked about people pickers and Office 365 groups and how you could create logic when you open the app to go look to see if somebody's in a group or look to see if somebody's an approver. So that logic would let you be able to you're just controlling what the tabs are. So then you simply would not have those other tabs in the collection at all if you're not in a certain role, and therefore they wouldn't have those tabs to click on here. That would be the most simple way to do it. That way you don't have to have all these tabs and then hide and show things. You just only collect the tab name for the tab that person needs to see. Makes sense? Let me I'll cut back over. So you would go to your clear collect here, and so you're just going to add another collect. And so you're just going to not clear collect clears the whole thing out. So you're not going to clear the whole thing out and add new ones, but you're going to say like if their current user, whoever the logged in user is in a certain thing, then collect this. Or if this logged in user is in this group, collect that. So that whole logic, since I just did that in Power Hour 2 weeks ago, I'm not going to go add all that into this one as well, but because I'm going to go more into the concept of getting the component and reusing it in other apps. But that's the logic you could use. That would just be the simplest way, and that way they just wouldn't have the tabs. Make sense? Cool. All right. Let's see. Now I got 2 places to look for questions. Okay. So that's the kind of the simplest. Does that help whoever was asking that? Does that make sense? Can you group a set of cards and make the group visible or not visible? Group. You can't group cards. No. There's limited functionality is what you can do with the cards. Tanya says, why don't you put the fields on forms and show and hide them when the tabs are clicked? Isn't that exactly what I just did? I'm not sure what's different between what you're asking and what I just did. I'm showing and hiding them when the tabs are clicked. So they're showing and hiding based on what the tab is that's clicked. So now I did a few of them. So now I've got main, details, comments. So like I didn't go through every single card in here, but you get the gist of how to make things hide and show. All right. Now the concept of having it as a component, if you want to take that and make it reusable and have it in other places, then you can go here and you can export it. Now when you export, it's going to export all the components in this app. So I built one that's just got just this one in it, and this is just the exact same thing. and then we'll just export it out of this app that doesn't have a bunch of other stuff going on in it. Now, one more thing that I want to show you before we go export it though is the concept of when someone is somewhere else in the app and they arrive on this screen, how do we want to make it so that it is automatically going to highlight whatever that first tab is, because it doesn't do that by default. By default, they're just all gray. So what we have to do is an on reset. So on reset, we have to basically reset the component and make it, which will make it select that first thing in the gallery. So I go to my component and to the advanced property of the component, and on reset, I'm going to reset this gallery. It's just a reset command. And then let me just go up here and do it since it's bigger. And then let's see. I don't think I even have to do anything with a variable. Let me see. We just do the reset and that's it. Reset gal tabs. Okay. So these are both screens where I've got that same set of tabs on them. Let's see. Yeah, it's doing it. I guess I would have to have I was trying to recreate it not doing it, but I had it all set up correctly, so it was doing it. But if yours is they're all gray and they're not resetting, it's just that little reset to just reset the whole gallery. All right, and then when you arrive on the screen again that's got the component on it, that resets the gallery. Makes sense? Okay. Now, so that's what kind of makes it go back to have that first one selected. Now we'll take the whole component and export it out. So I'll go to my other app that's only got that one component in it and export it. And so it doesn't just give you that one thing, that one component. All the components that you have in that app will get exported together. So that's why you might want to just create it as its own separate thing. So then I have this tab component, so then I can go, just one little thing I can do is just go to some other app and I can just import this one thing. So this one little file is just in my downloads. So I could just go to another app. Let me just save this and go to another blank app. New blank app. And just go to my components and import it. And then I can just upload the file. So that's one thing I can do, is I could just take this .msapp file and just import it like that. And it's just importing just that one thing. It's not using that whole concept of a component library or anything. So now I have this component in another app, and now I can go to my screens in this app and build a form and stick the tabs on it, etc. But another thing that you have is that concept of a component library. So if I go download, I'll just go download, export just all of these from this app that I just created. So this little download is just going to have the name of whatever PowerApp I'm in. So it's just called Contoso Project. So that's what my download is called, even though it contains all these components. So then I can go to my main PowerApp screen. I don't have any component libraries, so I can create one. A component library is really just a PowerApp. Let's see. Let's see. I'm trying to look at some of the questions here. Tanya said is that they show and hide the whole form instead of So they'll actually do entire separate form controls. Yeah, I mean that's one way you could do it. You could pretty much do anything you want to in Power Apps if you have entirely separate forms. Yeah, you can show and hide anything according to what's selected in the gallery with using that little piece of information that we used. Can we share this blank app with others so they could upload the MS app file to their app? Yep, that's what I'm doing. And then is it possible in the same form to put one card on the left side and one on the right side? Scroll only some cards. No, I mean, probably not. You could do a scrollable screen and have separate form controls. Like when you create your screen, you can do a scrollable screen. So then that would let you have like separate things down the page with just completely separate form controls. Yeah. All right, so I created this component library. So this is my component library. Again, a component library is just a Power App. So I can import. So this Contoso projects thing that I downloaded it, but I can also just import it directly from this Contoso project. Like I didn't have to download it. So if you download it, you can take this file and you can just like email it to somebody that's not even in your company, or you can do something, you take it to a different tenant and import it. But if you want to create something, a component library that's just using components that you've already built somewhere in the same tenant, you can just pick from it right here and import it. You don't have to use the downloaded file. So when we go import, and so this will be those ones that in this app I've just been working in. But again, it will pull in all of them. So you can just delete the ones that you don't want. So like this one, see, it's got these other two that I created, and then this one, this is the one we've been working on. So I could just delete like these other little dummy ones if I don't want them. And now this is my component library. It's just called Wonderlara Components, and I can save it. And then component libraries are weird, just the way you get to those components, it's really odd. So let's say I have a brand new Power App and I want to use something, components that are a component library. So I've got a component library called Wonderlara Components. Let me just make sure that that's there. I just created it. Apps, component libraries. Okay, so this is my, now I have a component library. So you have multiple components in your component library. And then I want to just import something that's in my library. So that's actually a completely different screen than importing something that's in that just the import screen that it shows you with all the other Power Apps in your tenant. It's really weird. So let me show you, just start from scratch again. Test importing. It's really, really dumb. Let's see. I like the way Zach posted in the Ideas channel over in Teams that he wishes there were more people over in Teams to talk to him. Okay. All right. So I've got a brand new Power App and I've got some components that I built in my component library, in my component library right here. So I want to take stuff that's in my official component library and import it into my new Power App. Well, you would think that you would go to components and go import, but that is just giving you all of your other apps listed in your tenant that have components in them. What you have to do is not go here and go import, and you go to the little plus screen and you go down here to get components. You see that? Is that dumb or what? So now it's going to show me, no offense, Microsoft, I'm sure you're going to fix this. Now it's going to show me my Wonderlara component. That's my official components library. And this is the component, and then you'd have a list of all the components you can pick from, and then you can check them off. And so now I imported my component into my new app. All right. Let's see. Somebody was talking about InfoPath. What? Okay, so that's how you can, and so I just imported this into my app. Now I've got this. Where did it go? So it doesn't even work. Oh wait, no, I don't think I clicked import. Let me see. Did I go to another tenant? Oh, yeah. Anyway, so I just imported my component. So now every time I use it on a screen, and there are a couple things that I have to do. Remember, I have to go to let me go back over here to the one we were working on. So once I've created the component, there's still a couple of things that I do when I insert it in the actual app. I still have to go to the input table and set it to be the collection of the list of stuff that I'm sending to it as tabs. And then I have to go to the, let's see, I guess that was it. Yeah. I thought there was something else. I guess not. That's pretty simple. And then you could do another thing is you could have it when people hover over things, if you want that to show extra information. That is possible, so I'll just do that as kind of like an add-on, like if you want like a full description for each tab. What is the difference between using the component tabs and using the buttons with VeriTab? With the component, you just have this reusable component that you can take with you and put it in, use it in other apps and not have to rebuild it every time. That's all. So that's the only difference. The logic is exactly the same with the showing and hiding tabs. This is just saving you some time, and you're just doing all the work once and building the tabs and with the way they look just once, and then it's just portable. So no difference in the logic in the way it's showing and hiding stuff. Yeah. Okay, so another thing you can do is just a little fun little add-on for this is you could have a description. So in my collection, I'm going to add a description field. So then I would have to do that in all these. This is the details tab. These are not very helpful descriptions, are they? This is some extra stuff. And you know what? Just for fun, I'll add an icon. Let's see. What's an icon called? Home. I'm not sure. What are some of the names of some of the icons? Let me see. Icon dot edit. Icon dot add document, add library, airplane. Okay. Okay, now when I'm completely changing the structure of a collection that's running on Start, I'm just going to just close my app and close it completely and go back in. I've just found that that's the best way. When you completely change the structure of it and change what the actual columns are in your collection, I'm just restarting the whole app. People are complaining about Teams not working, huh? Okay. Um, can components and component libraries be shared, or do they cause issues if the owner leaves? Well, if you put your component library, yeah, you do need to share it because it is just putting it in there as a PowerApp. So share the whole component library with the whole organization, just like you would with a PowerApp. But yeah, that is a good idea. Make other people owners, just the best practice in general. Okay, so now I've got my app, collection, project tabs. Now it's got tab description, tab ICO, tab title. It's got all three of them. So now when I go to my actual component, I need to change the structure in there. So let me go grab a little. Remember, I had to have like a little snippet of what the first couple of things would need to be. Let me go grab this little snippet of information, just the first two of these, just so that it has a couple just hard coded in it, so I can see what I'm doing when I'm in here trying it out. So see my little input table? This is what I'm going to put in here. So now I've got an input table that now has the same structure of what my collection has. So I've still got this, the text of this button is still saying the tab title, but then for the tooltip, I can say instead of tab title, I can say tab description. And then I can add a little icon in here. So then my icon is going to be tiny and white, and it's going to be right at the beginning of that tab. Let's see, right over here. And I'm going to make the icon in the tab be whatever that thing is coming from ICO tab. Didn't I call it ICO tab? What did I call it? Tab ICO. Icon dot yeah, there we go. This item.tab ICO. Look at that. Isn't that cool? Let me scoot it over a little bit. So now I've got a description when I hover over it, and we go back to that demo tabs. Look how pretty. Now, since I changed something in my component, I changed the structure of that little table of information. I have to go redo this. So this is kind of a pain. When you go change your component, you have to go redo all the places that you're using your component. See, I have to reset my input table. So that's just something that's fun, right, Joelle? We've had to do that in the real world a few times. So this is going to have to scoot over a little bit more. And then this is going to have to scoot over a little bit more. Nope. Anyway, oh, another thing I can do is I can change the padding of this text. So maybe the padding, the left padding will make it so that it's got more space. I'm not sure. Yeah, there we go. See, I changed the padding in my button, the padding left, and that scooted the words over a little bit. So they might not be in the way so much. That is adorable. Whatever this is, let me delete that. That was my little test icon. All right. See, when I hover over it now, there's my little, see, this is some extra stuff. That was my tooltip that I added. So now I've got additional information. Woohoo! Lisa says, are you changes sent back to the component in the component library? Is that only... Yeah, the changes in the component library propagate to all the places in the app that you're using it. And if I changed it in a change it in the main component library that's going to propagate to all the apps that are using it. But things that I change in the app, like where I'm using the component library, that's not going to affect the actual components. So changes that I'm making to these settings here in the component where I've inserted in the app aren't going to break anything. They're not affecting the component at all. But changes that are made in that one central place, wherever your component is, then you could impact all the places that component's being used. Yeah. So that is something to be aware of. Let's see. Just looking for more questions. Wow. That one, it's got so many moving parts to get that whole thing set up, but it's pretty cool once you have it done. Then that would be fun, having it as nice and portable. I'll unmute you, Joelle. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Hi. Can you talk now?
Yeah.
Quite a few users that you can train on that. But multiple child companies.
Tyler's probably in a meeting, isn't he? Okay.
Yeah, like I said, it didn't make sense.
Corona.
So they're both working at home together. So he happens to be in a meeting in their office. That's fine. So any last questions? That one kind of wrapped up a little early. I would have loved to just be able to click, 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 whip that thing up and just have it be like super simple and easy and quick. But there are just so many little settings and places and things that you have to change, especially when you change the component later. It's just too much. It's just, not the fastest topic. You can build an entire app, forms and tabs on a component to call it from the other app instead of having to customize the forms in every app. You can't do that with forms. No, you can't ever have a form control or any data, like actual data sources or anything in your apps. So let me see, Power Apps, components. I was reading this. So the limitations. And we did a whole power hour when components first came out, and we did a power hour on how to do a component navigation, how to do navigation icons and navigation. It's just the tabs one is even more simple than the navigation one was. You can't save data sources, forms, and data tables with components. Oh, let me share with you the known limitations here. You can't have anything with data sources, forms, data tables, anything with having to do with data. You can't have collections in the collections and components are not supported. So the component itself, when I was editing the component, remember I had a hard code and I had to type table and just put some fake data in it, because you can't put a collection in the component. So once you've inserted the component in your Power App, then you can have the items property reference the collection, but you just can't have the collection referenced inside of the component. That part can't be portable. A master instance of a component is a local master in scope to the app. If you change a master instance, only copies of the component within the app will reflect the change. Copies in other apps will remain the same unless you import the component library again. All master instances in those apps will automatically be detected and updated. I'm just reading this out loud. You can't have media files in your component. So the icons are built into Power Apps. Those are part of Power Apps, but you can't have like your own logo, company logo and stuff like that. Can't be part of your component. And then you can't use update context, which is a local variable, but you can use the set function if you want it to, like when you click something in the component, have it set a variable, have it set a global variable. We didn't need to do that with our tab component because we're just looking at the thing in the library that is the thing in the gallery that is selected. So we're just in our component, we're looking at, let's see, where did I put that? Oh yeah, right here. So the name of the gallery dot selected dot title. So this is what the output is. I'm just looking at this whatever thing in the gallery in that list of stuff is currently selected. So I don't even need to do a variable. But theoretically, I could make it so that on select, you click something and it sets a variable, and then do something with that data back over in my PowerApp. They've really segregated this out so the PowerApp and the component are very separate. So you can use a set function, and you can refer to them by using an output property that's going to output whatever has been set in that variable. All right. That was fun. I'm excited. We got the new technology, the new vMix software working, and it seems to be much smoother than XSplit, although it's much more complicated. We get to see Joelle, and it's very easy on her, and it's very easy. All I do is send her a hyperlink, and she clicks on it, and she's on camera.
I'm not sure, the only ones I can think of.
And poor Tyler's in a meeting next to her. Oh, I won't make you talk anymore. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and let me see if there are any more questions. Is there any way to make the buttons different colors like jelly beans? Oh, ooh, that is a good question. I guess you'd have to define that. You could define that in Brenda. You could. When I'm doing that collect where I defined and I added kind of what icon it wants, you could add a color in there too. And you could say, okay, the tab called main is going to be blue. The tab called details is going to be yellow. The tab called whatever, is going to be red. And you could define the color as part of the collection. And then just like I referenced the icon from inside the component, you could reference you could make the fill color reference this item dot color. Make sense? So, yeah. Is there a random question, Marie? Is there a way to have PowerApps to be able to add a user to a specific SharePoint permission group? Well, you have, you can do Office 365 groups and Azure groups, but to do the Azure connector, you have to be an admin who would be able to do it directly in Azure. So you have to have those rights to be able to even use a Power App that would have that functionality. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks everybody for coming. We'll get this Teams thing figured out and see how viable that's going to be to have have us all chatting in Teams, and see if I can even push the video that I'm doing in vMix. vMix is the software. I'm pushing it to YouTube and Facebook. We'll see if I can get it to go out to Teams as well, and that'll be like the next step. And I've got a hurricane headed towards me, so I'm just kidding. We're pretty far away from it. Y'all have a good afternoon. Over and out. Oh yeah, I am presenting at Ignite in one of those little table talk sessions. Hold on, I'll show you that real quick. Let me share my screen. Thanks forgot about Ignite. Microsoft Ignite. And oh wait, that's not it. Ugh. Let me go to the right. My Ignite. See what my sessions are. It's a little table topic. I just don't remember what it's called off the top of my head. Maybe if I just search my name or my schedule. What is all this stuff on my schedule? I didn't put this here. Speaker directory. There we go. Maybe I'm in the speaker directory. There I am. I am in Power Apps from Woe to Go. And we are going to, it's just going to be like ask the community, just people asking for tips and just chatting and stuff. It's going to be very informal. And it's going to be on Wednesday, September 23rd at 1:30 p.m. Central. And we're not having Power Hour next week because of Ignite. And Ignite is free. Y'all go register. Go attend Microsoft Ignite for free. Thanks for mentioning that. I almost forgot. Okay. Over and out. See y'all next time. Bye.